I'm Keith Sutton, Chair of the Wake County Public School System Board of Education. Welcome to our weekly briefing regarding our school district's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. As you know, shortly after our comments to you last week, Governor Roy Cooper announced all public school buildings will be closed for the remainder of the school year. Today, we will offer our thoughts about what that means for us in the short term and what it could mean for us as we look to next year. And of course, we will share updates regarding our food service efforts and the work of staff and families involved in remote learning. At this point, I will ask Superintendent Moore to get us started.
Thank you, Chair Sutton, and good morning. Before I begin our COVID-19 update, I want to share some excellent news. 2 of our magnet elementary schools have been named Green Ribbon Schools by the U.S. Department of Education. Congratulations to Lincoln Heights Magnet Elementary and Millbrook Magnet Elementary. Both schools received the award for reducing environmental impact, improving health and wellness, and promoting sustainability. The 2 magnet schools, which integrate environmental and life sciences into daily instruction, are among a group of only 39 schools nationwide to receive this award. Congratulations again to all students and staff at Lincoln Heights and Millbrook Magnet Elementary Schools on this well-deserved honor. Regarding our work in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, I am pleased to report we had another successful week of remote learning. Parents and students continue to share positive feedback about the quality and consistency of the remote instruction they are receiving from teachers. And we continued to deliver devices and internet hotspots to students who need them, a topic that Chair Sutton will address shortly in more detail. While remote learning is still new for all of us, it is clear we are starting to pivot from a response stage to a readiness stage, as State Board of Education Chair Eric Davis noted last week. This ultimately will lead to the stage we are all eagerly awaiting, a return to our schools. The one thing we know for certain is school will look very different next year, perhaps drastically different. There are many unanswered questions regarding school calendars and how new health and safety protections might affect day-to-day operations. The State Department of Public Instruction announced the creation of a work group yesterday that will offer guidance on reopening schools. It is also a daily conversation among district leaders here in Wake County. Many of our questions, which are often the same as parents, can't be answered until the state determines appropriate health guidance in June. But families and staff should not be surprised if we need to blend some forms of remote learning with more traditional school routines. We simply don't know right now. We're also watching closely and advocating when necessary as lawmakers debate school calendars for the coming year. This is especially important for the roughly 40,000 students scheduled to begin classes in our multi-track year-round schools in July. We hope to have more information in the coming weeks, and we are hopeful lawmakers will provide districts with maximum flexibility to adjust school calendars as needed. Regardless, protecting our students and staff will remain our top priority, and we will follow the guidance of state health officials in implementing appropriate safeguards, no matter what that requires. I am confident that our students, families, and staff will respond to the new normal with the same adaptability and sense of collective purpose that they have shown in response to the current crisis. Indeed, our school communities have responded well to building closures and continuous remote learning, and the evidence of this is all over social media. Not only are students and parents praising teachers, and vice versa, but our community has shown immense gratitude for our child nutrition staff who continue to provide meals daily, and for our tech services and transportation employees who are getting technology into the hands of students quickly. These displays are not just heartening, they are also vital in this time of being alone together. That's why I'm happy to announce 2 new social media initiatives. The first, which launched this week, honors our performing arts students. Our hearts go out to the thousands of students who work so hard preparing for school spring performances, including musicals, plays, concerts, and dances. So we are celebrating these students the best way we can under these circumstances by posting video clips or photos from past performances or rehearsal. Some students have even recorded performances from home. Please share any videos or photos of this kind with the hashtag WCPSS on with the show. I told you last week about the WCPSS Hero Campaign, recognizing staff members who have gone above and beyond the call of duty. To date, we have received more than 400 nominations and are sharing some of these stories on social media under the hashtag WCPSS Hero. Next week is also Teacher Appreciation Week, so we will be paying special attention to our 11,000 dedicated teachers. Principals and PTA members will be notifying parents with details about how they will be honoring teachers. We also ask that you show your admiration for your teachers on social media using the hashtag WCPSS Thank a Teacher. Truly, appreciation barely begins to describe how we feel about our teachers at this moment. They've been asked to do the impossible with remote learning and have delivered in so many inspiring ways. That is why we're especially committed to celebrating them this year. And don't forget, today is National Principal Appreciation Month, so let's show some appreciation there as well. With that, I will turn it back over to Chair Sutton.
Thank you, Superintendent Moore. I'd like to start by publicly thanking the State Board of Education for extending state of emergency leave through May 31st. For those who are unable to telework, this leave is a financial lifeline that also benefits our broader community. In keeping with that spirit of appreciation, I'd next like to highlight our food service program, which is still operating 46 sites, including 12 big bus food trucks. To date, we've served more than 650,000 meals with an average of nearly 24,000 meals each day. Based on that demand, next week we're opening 6 new school sites for food distribution and adding 4 new big bus food trucks to deliver meals to some communities and neighborhoods. I continue to think and quite frankly marvel at the work our child nutrition staff and bus drivers have done to serve our children. This pandemic has also revealed a stark digital divide among our families, which we continue to close with the distribution of roughly 27,500 Chromebooks. Today, we'll reach an important milestone in this effort. The last remaining schools that have yet to host distributions will receive their Chromebooks ready to give to their students. Meanwhile, 154 schools have distributed nearly 3,500 internet hotspots. My heartfelt thanks to our technology services staff members for their tireless efforts. In addition, we will mail 8,500 instructional packets to special education students this coming week after sending 1,900 last week. Again, we are committed to making sure every child is engaged in meaningful learning. Superintendent Moore already spoke to changes for next year, but at this point, I believe we should also address graduation plans for this year. Given the challenges of holding traditional graduation ceremonies in June, a team of Central Services administrators has been exploring a number of alternatives, some of which I mentioned last week. As part of their work, we will be meeting with senior class leaders, PTA representatives, and principals in the coming week to gather their feedback and suggestions. With their help and input, we hope to have a formal decision within the next 2 weeks so families and faculty can make their own plans for celebrating this genuine landmark achievement. In the meantime, I once again encourage you to use the hashtag WCPSS Celebrates Seniors to find social media tributes to outstanding seniors, or to submit one of your own. I will close with a quick update on budget priorities for next year. During our regular school board meeting earlier this week, it was noted that a 2020-2021 budget will be approved, but it will likely never be complete. Like so many other aspects of our school operations, we expect it will be adjusted multiple times in response to the fallout of this pandemic. We still expect enrollments to grow, perhaps even faster than before the pandemic. But it is critical that we protect our teachers, support staff, and classroom resources first. Our ability to deliver quality instruction this coming year will depend not only on making smart choices locally, but also on decisions made at the state and federal levels of government in the coming weeks and months. So as we reflect on Superintendent Moore's comments about the effects of this pandemic on so many aspects of our school routines, I would repeat those thoughts when it comes to our budget. The 2020-2021 school year will be unlike any other we have experienced. So if we must finish this year remotely, let's finish strong, honor our graduates, and prepare to succeed in 2020-2021, regardless of how this pandemic alters our routines. We will now entertain questions from the media.
Kurt here from the News and Observer. The superintendent earlier mentioned the new task force that's being formed. I saw that the Guilford County School Board had passed a resolution expressing their concern about the lack of representation from the 3 biggest districts in the state. Is that a concern that Wake has, that there's no one from the district on that group?
So I had the same notation as well. And so what I've done is reached out to the folks that I know that are a part of that group to make sure that we keep lines of communication open, that I am available whenever possible or needed to respond. I even spoke with a representative from the governor's office about making sure that larger districts, and in particular Wake, because of the fact that we're the only district that has multi-track year-round schools, and therefore our decisions come much earlier, to make sure that we're in the loop with those discussions and decisions and consulted so that we can make sure that our needs are expressed and considered. Did you have anything, Mr. Sutton?
I would just add to that was something that that was noticed. I would add that as the state's largest district, there are a number of things that are unique to Wake. There are a number of folks that we know that are part of that task force that we are in contact with, and we feel confident that they will represent our concerns. And last week, we've considered, and we are considering a similar task force or working group that would address the reopening here in Wake as well, because of, again, those unique needs. So we'll see how that goes and works with or in complement to the state task force.
Any last questions?
I guess going back to earlier about the graduations, I mean, at this stage, is it still realistic to think that you will hold any kind of in-person graduations this year?
Well, as you know, we've been reticent to say that we've just given up on the June traditionally scheduled graduations. I do think, given the governor's phased announcements last week and the fact that we are now into May, today is May 1st, that the scenario of the traditional June graduations is highly unlikely. And it is why we've ramped up really our conversations and are reaching out to different stakeholder groups to determine what the options are that we may want to look at for the district, because the one thing that does remain the same is a commitment and energy that is steadfast around recognizing our seniors in some way, shape, or form. So that work will continue. It's already begun and continue in earnest as a pivot during the next week or two, where I think the public will hear more from there. Mr. Sutton.
I'll just add and echo Superintendent Moore's comments. And obviously, there were some graduations that we had that were scheduled for as early as May. And so the likelihood of anything that resembles a traditional graduation in May or June, again, is unlikely. But we've heard a lot from our students, from our parents and the community, and they would like to see something and anything that we put together that either may resemble a traditional graduation or of a virtual nature will take some planning. And so we are gathering comments, gathering feedback, working hard to ensure that we can, again, provide something that is very memorable for our seniors.
Okay, follow-up on it. Are we thinking that it's more likely to be virtual, or are we potentially having some kind of in-person graduation maybe in the summertime?
So I think, we're getting to a point here where we've got to push-pull on a decision, and that's why the feedback that we will be seeking in the next few days is so important. A virtual graduation would likely need to be done more within the normal timeline. Go ahead and pull the trigger on what we want to do there. If we still wanted to hold out as an option and in person, that's going to have to that will need to be later. And so how much later is safe? And so the uncertainty of being able to plan for how we normally do it in the future is that's more of an uncertainty than making a decision to do something different that still honors our seniors. So that is where we are right now.